There comes a moment in every life when the silence grows louder than the crowd, when the phone does not ring, when the door does not open, and when the rescue you prayed for does not arrive. It is in that sacred, aching stillness that a truth begins to whisper, "Nobody is coming to save you." And though that truth may first feel like thunder against your fragile hopes, it is not a sentence of despair, it is an invitation to power. For hidden beneath your disappointment is a strength you have not yet dared to claim. The world may pass you by, misunderstand you, or doubt your becoming, but within you lives a force ancient and unbreakable. So if no hands reach out to lift you, let your own hands rise. If no voice calls your name, let your spirit answer anyway, because the day you decide to stand up for yourself is the day you discover you were never helpless. You were simply waiting to remember who you are. There is a quiet revolution that begins the day you understand that your hands were never meant to be empty. They were meant to build, to mend, to reach, to create. Too often we sit with folded fingers, glancing at the horizon as if help will rise like the morning sun. We convince ourselves that someone stronger, wiser, or more fortunate will appear and carry us across our storms. But strength does not descend from the sky wrapped in comfort. It awakens from within, summoned by necessity and shaped by will. The very trials you wish away are the chisels carving out your resilience. Waiting can feel safe. Waiting allows you to postpone responsibility, to blame circumstances, to soften the sting of fear. Yet every moment spent waiting for rescue is a moment you postpone your own becoming. The truth is not cruel, it is clarifying. If no one comes, it does not mean you are forgotten, it means you are capable. It means life has trusted you with your own rising. And there is something profoundly powerful about knowing that the same hands that wipe your tears can also build your future. You were not created merely to endure. You were created to transform. Inside you is a courage that does not always roar. Sometimes it is a steady breath taken when your heart is racing. Sometimes it is the decision to try again after failure has left its fingerprints on your confidence. That courage does not ask for applause. It asks for action. When you choose to move, even in uncertainty, you activate a strength that has been waiting patiently for your command. There will be days when doubt speaks louder than hope, days when your reflection seems unfamiliar and your dreams feel distant. On those days, remember that power is not the absence of fear. It is the decision to walk forward despite it. Each step you take alone teaches you that solitude is not weakness. It is a training ground. It is where you learn to trust your own voice over the noise of the world. You may stumble, you may fall, but even falling proves you were brave enough to move, and rising after you fall becomes a testimony, not just to others, but to yourself. You begin to see that the strength you admired in others has always lived in you. It was simply waiting for recognition. So do not curse the silence when no savior appears. Let it remind you that you are both the warrior and the rescue. Let it push you to dig deeper, stand taller, and believe harder. The power within you is not fragile, it is forged. And the moment you stop waiting for someone else to save you is the moment you finally understand. You have always held the power to rise. There is a peculiar kind of bravery that grows in silence. It does not announce itself with drums or demand the comfort of applause. It unfolds in the quiet corners of your life where no one is clapping, no one is cheering, and no one even seems to notice your effort. This is the courage that forms when you choose to rise, not because the world is watching, but because your spirit refuses to remain on the ground. It is easy to be bold when there is validation. It is far more powerful to be brave when there is only you and your reflection bearing witness. Solitude has a way of revealing who you truly are. Without the noise of opinions, without the weight of expectations, you are left alone with your thoughts, your fears, and your potential. In that stillness, you may feel small at first. You may question your worth when there is no external proof to affirm it. But solitude is not meant to shrink you. It is meant to strengthen you. It strips away the need for approval and teaches you to stand firm in your own conviction. When no one is watching, your character speaks the loudest. There will be moments when you work tirelessly and no recognition follows. Moments when you fight silent battles and no one understands the war within you. It is in those unseen struggles that your deepest growth occurs. Roots grow underground, hidden from sight, pushing through soil and stone before they ever break the surface. Your perseverance works the same way. Just because others cannot see your effort does not mean it is not shaping you into something extraordinary. Bravery without an audience demands honesty. It asks you to confront your weaknesses without disguise. It challenges you to discipline yourself when there is no one to correct you, to encourage yourself when no one offers comfort, to keep going when quitting would be easier and unnoticed. This is where true strength is born, not in the spotlight, but in the shadows where resilience quietly takes form. You may feel alone in your pursuit, but loneliness does not mean abandonment. Sometimes it means preparation. Sometimes it means you are being refined, polished by pressure, so that when the moment comes, you will stand ready. The world often celebrates the victory, but it rarely sees the years of unseen effort that made it possible. Do not despise the hidden season. It is building a foundation no storm can easily shake. So rise, even when the room is empty. Speak words of belief over yourself when no one else does. Take steps toward your dreams, even if no one applauds your progress. Because the courage you practice in private becomes the confidence you carry in public. And one day, when others see you standing tall, they may call you strong, but you will know the truth. Your strength was forged in solitude, in those quiet moments when you chose to rise anyway. Freedom does not always arrive with celebration. Sometimes it enters quietly, disguised as responsibility. The day you realize that no one else is obligated to repair your life is the day you begin to reclaim it. Depending on others to carry your burdens may feel comforting for a while, but comfort can become a cage. When you hand over your power, even gently, you slowly forget that it was yours to begin with. Self-reliance is not isolation, it is remembrance. It is the sacred act of recognizing that you have been equipped all along. There is a difference between accepting support and surrendering control. Support can strengthen you, but surrendering control weakens your sense of agency. When you wait for someone else to change your circumstances, you unknowingly place your future in uncertain hands. Liberation begins the moment you decide that your choices, your discipline, and your courage will shape your direction. That decision may feel heavy at first, but it carries a hidden gift: ownership. And ownership brings dignity. You may have been taught to seek permission before you move, to wait for validation before you believe in yourself. Yet the most profound transformations begin with a private decision. No announcement, no applause, just a quiet commitment to stand on your own foundation. Self-reliance asks you to trust your judgment, to learn from your mistakes without collapsing under them, and to accept that growth is often uncomfortable. But discomfort is not your enemy. It is evidence that you are stretching beyond your old limits. When you rely on yourself, you stop bargaining with your potential. You stop saying, "I will begin when someone encourages me," or "I will change when someone rescues me." Instead, you rise and say, "I will begin now." That shift is powerful. It turns waiting into action. It turns hope into effort. And with every small step you take independently, your confidence expands. You begin to see that your strength is not fragile, it is dependable. Self-reliance also teaches resilience. When setbacks come, and they will, you do not crumble as easily because you understand that solutions can come from within you. You learn to adapt, to rethink, to rebuild. You stop fearing failure as a final verdict and start seeing it as instruction. There is a deep peace that comes from knowing you can survive your own storms, that you are capable of guiding yourself through uncertainty. This kind of freedom is not loud or boastful. It is steady. It shows up in disciplined mornings, in difficult decisions, in boundaries you set without guilt. It grows each time you choose accountability over excuses. And over time, you realize something extraordinary. You are no longer waiting to be chosen, saved, or carried. You are walking forward on your own strength. When you stop depending on others to fix your life, you do not become hardened, you become empowered. You understand that help may come, but your progress does not depend on it. And in that understanding, you find a liberation that no one can take away, a freedom built not on circumstance, but on the unwavering belief that you are capable of rising by your own hands. Struggle has a language of its own. It does not speak in comfort or convenience, but in lessons carved through experience. When hardship knocks at your door, it rarely introduces itself as a teacher. It arrives as disappointment, as delay, as doors closing without explanation. And your first instinct may be to resist it, to question it, to wish it away. Yet within every struggle lives a quiet instruction, shaping you in ways ease never could. There is something about difficulty that reveals your depth. When everything is smooth, you glide across the surface of your potential. But when the road turns steep, you are forced to dig in. You discover muscles you did not know you had. You find patience hidden beneath frustration. You uncover endurance buried under doubt. The struggle does not come to break you, it comes to build you. It stretches your capacity so that when greater opportunities arrive, you are strong enough to hold them. It is easy to celebrate victories. It is harder to appreciate the nights filled with uncertainty, the mornings heavy with responsibility, the seasons where progress feels invisible. Yet those unseen battles are sculpting your character. Pressure refines what comfort cannot. Just as fire strengthens steel, adversity strengthens resolve. Each challenge you face is chiseling away fear, shaping discipline, sharpening wisdom. Without the resistance, there would be no growth. You may wonder why the path to your dreams is not gentle, why the journey demands sacrifice, patience, and resilience. But greatness is not formed in softness, it is molded through persistence. Every setback carries a lesson about adaptability. Every rejection teaches resilience. Every delay strengthens faith. The struggle forces you to confront yourself honestly, to refine your motives, to clarify your purpose. It asks you whether you truly desire what you claim to seek. There will be moments when you feel weary, when the weight of responsibility presses heavily on your shoulders. In those moments, remember that struggle is not a sign of failure. It is evidence of effort. It means you are reaching beyond your comfort zone. It means you are daring to grow. And growth, though uncomfortable, is sacred work. When you embrace the struggle instead of resisting it, your perspective shifts. You stop asking, why is this happening to me? And begin asking, what is this teaching me? That question changes everything. It turns pain into preparation. It transforms obstacles into stepping stones. It reminds you that your current hardship is not your final destination, but part of your formation. One day, you will look back at the seasons that once felt unbearable and see them differently. You will recognize that they strengthened your voice, deepened your compassion, and fortified your courage. The struggle you once feared will become the foundation you stand upon, and you will understand that every challenge was molding your spirit, preparing you not just to succeed, but to endure, to inspire, and to rise with a strength that could only have been born through fire. Hope is a beautiful thing, but hope alone cannot carry you across the distance between where you are and where you long to be. Hope can light the path, but it cannot walk it for you. Too often we cradle our dreams gently, whispering wishes into the air, believing that desire itself is enough. Yet desire without movement becomes a lullaby that soothes but never strengthens. If you truly want change, you must be willing to rise from where you are and step toward it, even if your legs are unsteady. There will be moments when you feel unprepared, when confidence has not fully arrived, when fear stands tall in front of you. Do not wait for fear to disappear before you act. Courage is not the absence of trembling, it is movement despite it. Your hands may shake, your voice may quiver, your heart may race, but take the step anyway. Action transforms anxiety into energy. It shifts you from a passive observer of your life into an active participant in your becoming. Waiting can disguise itself as patience. It can convince you that the timing is not right, that you need more knowledge, more approval, more assurance. But perfection is a moving target. If you wait until you feel completely ready, you may wait forever. Growth does not begin with readiness, it begins with willingness. The willingness to try, the willingness to risk, the willingness to fail and learn rather than remain still and wonder. Each small action you take sends a message to your spirit. I believe in myself enough to move. That message matters. It builds momentum. It strengthens self-trust. When you take one step, you prove that progress is possible. When you take another, you begin to build rhythm. Before long, the distance that once felt impossible begins to shrink beneath your steady effort. Action also clarifies what hope alone cannot. When you move, you discover what works and what does not. You gain insight through experience. You develop resilience through practice. Dreams that once felt abstract begin to take shape because your hands are shaping them. There is power in doing, even imperfectly. There is wisdom gained only through engagement. You may stumble. You may choose a path that requires adjustment. But movement allows correction. Stillness does not. When you act, you remain in control of your direction. You learn to pivot instead of panic. You grow comfortable with the idea that progress is rarely linear. It is messy, uneven, and often uncertain, but it is real. So rise from the comfort of wishing. Rise from the habit of postponing. Let your hope be the spark, but let your effort be the flame. Move toward your purpose, even if your steps are small and your confidence is still forming, because the act of rising, of doing, of trying again transforms you. And with every trembling step forward, you become stronger than the fear that once held you still. There will be seasons when applause is absent, when encouragement is scarce, and when even those closest to you fail to understand the vision that keeps you awake at night. In those moments, external validation will feel like water in a desert. You will thirst for someone to say, "I see you, I believe in you." But if your confidence depends entirely on the voices around you, it will rise and fall with their opinions. True strength is born when belief begins within. Faith in yourself is not arrogance. It is not loud or boastful. It is a quiet certainty that even when you do not have all the answers, you have the ability to learn them. It is trusting that even if you have stumbled before, you are capable of standing again. This kind of faith does not deny your weaknesses. It acknowledges them and moves forward anyway. It understands that imperfection does not disqualify you from purpose. The world can be inconsistent in its praise. One day it celebrates you. The next it questions you. If you build your identity on shifting approval, you will constantly feel unstable. But when your belief is rooted in your own understanding of who you are and what you are capable of becoming, you become steady. Criticism may sting, but it will not define you. Doubt may whisper, but it will not command you. Believing in yourself requires honesty. It asks you to examine your gifts and accept them without apology. Too often, people shrink themselves to fit the comfort of others. They dim their light to avoid standing out. Yet your potential was never meant to be hidden. When you trust your capacity, you give yourself permission to grow boldly. You stop waiting for agreement before you act. You stop seeking constant reassurance before you try. There will be days when your own mind challenges you. Days when past failures echo loudly and insecurities attempt to take control. In those moments, faith becomes a deliberate choice. You choose to remember your resilience. You choose to recall the obstacles you have already overcome. You remind yourself that progress is not measured by perfection, but by persistence. Each time you rise after falling, you collect evidence that you are stronger than you once believed. Self-belief also fuels endurance. When the path is long and the results are slow, faith keeps you moving. It tells you that your effort matters, even when it is unseen. It assures you that growth is happening beneath the surface, even if the world has not yet noticed. That quiet assurance becomes your anchor. And one day, when recognition finally comes, it will feel different. It will not define you because you were never waiting for it to. You will accept it with gratitude, but your foundation will remain unchanged. For long before the world believed in you, you believed in yourself, and that belief, steady and unwavering, will have carried you further than any applause ever could. There will be times when it feels as though the world has turned its back on you. Your efforts go unnoticed. Your progress is overlooked. Your voice echoes without reply. You may stand in rooms where your presence is tolerated but not celebrated, where your dreams are met with polite smiles instead of support. In those moments, it is easy to mistake silence for rejection and indifference for defeat. But the absence of recognition does not erase the value of your determination. The world has a way of celebrating results while ignoring the relentless persistence that creates them. It applauds the victory, but rarely witnesses the countless attempts that came before it. If you allow the lack of immediate acknowledgement to quiet your spirit, you surrender power that was meant to be yours. Determination is not dependent on applause. It is fueled by conviction. It grows stronger when tested. When the odds stand against you, they reveal what you are made of. Anyone can continue when the path is smooth and encouragement is abundant. It takes a different kind of strength to persist when the road is steep and lonely. Persistence means choosing to continue even when the evidence of success is not yet visible. It means trusting that your steady effort is building something, even if it cannot yet be seen. There may be voices that question your capability. Some may speak their doubts openly, others may express them through silence. Do not let their uncertainty become your truth. The world's hesitation is not a prophecy. It is simply perspective, and perspectives can be limited. Your determination, however, can be limitless if you decide it will be. Persistence requires discipline. It asks you to rise early when motivation is absent. It demands that you continue practicing when improvement feels slow. It challenges you to hold your vision firmly when distractions attempt to pull you away. This quiet, consistent effort may not attract attention at first, but it builds resilience that cannot easily be shaken. Every time you refuse to quit, you strengthen something within yourself. Each obstacle you face and move through becomes proof that you are capable of enduring more than you once imagined. Even setbacks serve a purpose. They refine your strategy, they sharpen your focus, they deepen your patience. Persistence transforms obstacles into training grounds. There is power in being underestimated. When the world overlooks you, it grants you space to grow without pressure. It gives you time to develop your skills, to refine your character, to fortify your resolve. And when your moment finally arrives, it will not be by accident. It will be the result of countless days when you chose to continue despite doubt. So let the world underestimate you if it must. Let it question your path. Let it overlook your effort. But do not silence your own determination. Keep moving, keep striving, keep building, because persistence has a voice of its own, and in time, it speaks louder than any doubt ever could. You may never fully realize who is watching you. In your quiet decision to rise, in your private battles fought without announcement, in your steady refusal to give up, there are eyes observing, hearts taking notes. You might believe your struggle is yours alone, that your courage affects no one beyond your own life. But every act of resilience sends a ripple outward. When you stand up after being knocked down, you give silent permission for someone else to do the same. Inspiration is rarely born from perfection. It is born from perseverance. People are not moved by flawless journeys. They are moved by honest ones. When others see you rise despite disappointment, despite fear, despite the absence of rescue, they begin to reconsider their own limitations. Your example whispers to them, "It is possible." Not because the road was easy, but because you walked it anyway. There are those who have grown weary, those who once believed in their dreams, but slowly allowed doubt to quiet them. They may not say it aloud, but they are searching for proof that strength still exists. When you choose discipline over excuses, courage over comfort, action over waiting, you become that proof. Your life becomes a testimony without ever needing a microphone. You do not have to be extraordinary to inspire. You simply have to be consistent. Rising each day with determination, even when circumstances are heavy, is powerful. Choosing integrity when shortcuts tempt you is powerful. Continuing your journey when results are slow is powerful. These choices may seem small to you, but to someone struggling to take their first step, they are monumental. There is a responsibility that comes with resilience, not a burden, but a calling. When you discover that you can survive hardship, you carry knowledge that others desperately need. By sharing your growth, by living your truth openly, you become a living reminder that circumstances do not have the final word. Your scars, once hidden in shame, become symbols of survival. Your persistence becomes a lighthouse for those lost in their own storms. Sometimes the most profound inspiration happens without conversation. A single act of bravery witnessed quietly can ignite courage in another heart. When someone sees you rebuild after loss, pursue your purpose despite criticism, or maintain faith during uncertainty, they begin to believe that perhaps they can rise as well. And one day someone may approach you and say that your strength gave them hope. You may be surprised, unaware that your journey carried such weight. But that is the beauty of rising anyway. You do not only change your own life, you illuminate possibility for others. So stand tall, not for applause, but for impact. Rise, not just for yourself, but for the unseen hearts drawing strength from your example. In choosing to lift yourself, you quietly teach others that they too have the power to rise.